in the Word this morning. I think anytime we come together for church, we should come together and really come to a time where we go to the Word and just kind of look to renew our mind and grow and strengthen ourselves. And to do that, I want to just give a quick background of how this message even got started. I was talking with a friend of mine, actually my brother-in-law, and he was just talking about 2017 in general. I know y'all know Prince, and he couldn't be here this morning, but in a sense, we were just discussing about 2017 and the changes he's seen. And he used this term, I want to give him a lot of credit, he used the term proving ground. I said to him, you know what? That's an amazing topic. And he wasn't using that topic per se, he just used that term. I said, you know what? That's really a good message for 2017. And he said, that's not that big. I said, no, you really hit the nail on the head. And I'm not much for stealing stuff, I'm just saying that term proving ground. Have you ever heard the term proving ground before? It's primarily used for what? Military usage. Why? Military people, any equipment, any nation will have a proving ground for one purpose. When they have a new machine, a new weapon, a new missile, a new tank, they're not going to just throw it on the front line and go see what it looks like. What do they do? They set apart this area that, note this, listen, be careful. It's far away from everybody. Far away from cities, far away from dwellings. It's far away from anything anybody can see. Why? What they want to do is find out what's going to happen when they use this weapon. Y'all listen to me? Y'all understand that? Think about what I just said. A proving ground is a place in which God, if you want to put the blank screen there. What a proving ground is a place in which it is separated from people, far away. Only the military people will even know the coordinates. And what they want to do is they want to develop new equipment, new weaponry, a new machine, something, and they're going to trial it there. For the purpose of what? Using it on the front line. Now, if you know me very well, church and military have a strong connection because there's a lot of organization behind the military. There's a lot of rank and authority, and so is in the church. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to lord over you like that. I'm just saying that understanding is there. You remember the centurion in Matthew 8? He said, I'm also a man under authority, right? And Jesus said, wow, I've never seen faith like that. Don't tell me that faith and the military aren't connected. But more specifically about this church, see, this church for me is a proving ground. Why? I'm well aware that this church is not some giant mainstream building that packs in 1,000 people. But no one does that with a proving ground either. It's not for everybody's eyes. It's for a select group of individuals that will be exposed to something that has not been seen. At the same time that people recognize, is it the final product? No. But is it intention is? Yes. Whatever they're doing, even if you're an automotive maker and you're developing a new Tesla, okay, and you've got this top-end race car, you're not going to put it on the frontline store. You're going to put it on a racetrack behind everybody's eyes, right? They're going to drive around the track. They're going to look at it. They're going to watch it. And they're going to see how well it works. And then they're going to say, okay, let's do this. So everybody understands. So we're talking about a church like this. And people are kind of feeling the burn, maybe. You're feeling distressed or sort of curious. Where is God in this big equation? God's actually right here next to you. The question is, what stage are you in this proving ground? Y'all understand me now? Does it make sense? That was a good time. And so my option is this, like, is that biblical? We're going to look at this morning. And how does this affect us? Where do we stand in this equation of a proving ground? And what is its goal? One more time. So the goal this morning is not just to understand, okay, oh, that's a good analogy. It's where do I stand in this concept of a proving ground? And how am I going to grow through this? And what is its end purpose? I hope that's making sense to you. But before we really dive in, I just want to soften your hearts. You see, the military, I've had some friends in the military. Y'all ever had any friends in the military? They recognize it's kind of goofy. They recognize there's a lot of rules and laws and things. And sometimes churches get caught up in a lot of rules and laws. And sometimes stories just get out of hand. And things don't really make sense. So I have a couple of questions for you real quickly. See, military people, they're funny. And so they have these stories and they have their events just like churches have their stories. And I want to ask you this. When it comes to military, sometimes things get out of whack and it's hard to believe it's really true or false. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. Are these things true or are all these things false? You know, like the Bible, we hear things, is that really real? Military people have the same question. Is that really real? True or false? In World War II, a German submarine was sunk because of a malfunctioning toilet. One more time. In World War II, a submarine from the Germans sunk because the toilet wasn't working. Do you think that's actually true?
Yeah.
Yes.
You think so? Man, you guys are bold. True or false? True? Do you think it actually sunk because of a toilet?
False.
False?
It's a malfunctioning
Okay.
toilet.
See what I'm saying? It's funny. Military people have the same understanding. Actually did happen. It's a true fact. A submarine failed because of a bad toilet. So keep your toilets working, guys. Next one. American combat dolphins. American combat dolphins were deployed in the Persian Gulf and surrounded and captured an Iranian battleship. You know what? It's crazy, man. Americans, man, we're bold. So, combat dolphins, were they deployed in the Gulf War to use as secret weapons against ships? Possible? True or false? What do y'all think? False? Man, a discerning people. It is false. The pen used by the military, it meets 16 pages of spec sheets.
True.
True? Y'all think so? Girls? True? 16 pages of spec. Man, y'all crazy. It's true. It's actually true. And again, a friend of mine, he was in the, he went to West Point, and he said, the amount of stuff you go through, it's just stupid. He said, after all, it's just stupid. 16 pages for a pen. 2 more. Y'all remember Top Gun, Tom Cruise? I bet y'all can quote that movie. Oh, okay, you have to be older than 19.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay, but if you are older than that, you will remember Top Gun. Now, there is a real Top Gun Academy. At this Top Gun Academy, is there really a fine for quoting that movie?
True.
Quoting the movie, is there a fine? Do you think they'll find you? If you walk and start quoting Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer, will they find you?
Yes.
Man, y'all are legalists. They do. How much is it? $5. They will fine you $5. They give you $5. Good. I gotta be able to hear that much. Last one. Franco-Prussian War, for you history buffs, ended in a stalemate. How was it settled? According to history, there was a winner-take-all of backgammon. Backgammon. 2 games played by the country's prime ministers. They ruled it out, and that decided the war. True or false?
True.
True?
True.
False, false, false. That one had me too, I'll be honest. That one had me. I thought that was true. It's okay. So, okay. Now we're going to go to Scripture. So I said proven ground. Is that really a biblical fact? You know what I'm saying? Like, if we just hear something, is that just, oh, it's okay, that sounds biblical. Children should be seen and not heard. That was a real common verse growing up. It's not in the Bible. And so there's just things people say. So is proving ground, that sounds flashy, but is that in the Bible? Do you mind reading Luke chapter 16, 10 through 12. Luke chapter 16, 10 through 12. What do you think God talks about a proving ground? Let's look together. I bet you probably think it's true because we're meeting about it. Jesus says this, he who is faithful in what is least is also faithful in much. Verse 11, therefore, if you've not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust? If you've not been faithful in unrighteous mammon, by the way, I'll tell you that's well. Who will commit you to your trust? The true riches. Verse 12. And if you've not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? You'll put all 3 verses up. 3 questions, almost all intertwined. Would y'all agree? This is Jesus speaking about a parable. And it gives us these 3 rhetorical questions that almost all say the same thing. What are they saying? If you're diligent in your responsibilities, God will give you God's responsibilities. Is that fair? I'll dive into it a little bit more. One more time. If you are really diligent about yourself, God will be diligent with you about His work. How do I know that? It says this, he who's faithful in least will also be faithful in much. What's really more valuable to God? Heaven and earth. I would say both are important. But in a sense, earthly things are all appropriated to us because we're born here. Heavenly things are not all appropriated. Not everybody receives a heavenly responsibility. What he's saying is if you would be more appropriate with your worldly responsibilities, God would look at you for heavenly responsibilities. Again, if you've not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon. What is mammon? Mammon is a word for wealth. Worldly wealth. Worldly derived, worldly interested money. Not that all money is bad. But money that's purely associated with just carnal things. And he's saying, if you're not really good with that, why would God give you something rich, really rich, of His Spirit, if you want to call it Finally, he says, you've not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? So let's just put that on the table and just talk for a moment. Is God really asking us to be like hypersensitive about everything in the world? Like, oh my gosh, there's a scratch on the couch. I'm not being faithful in my leather seat. God won't give me the Spirit of God. No. Is he saying that? No. I mean, my buttons aren't perfectly aligned. Michael, there's a wrinkle. What are you doing up on stage? How dare you No. What do you think he's really talking about? Maybe our free time, our jobs, our schools, our behavior, the way we, you know what I'm saying? The way we speak to people, the way we treat people. What if God says, listen, you are being accounted for every day of the week in one way or another, whether you like it or not. So why this message? At the end of every year, if you're working, they'll do a job review, right? Don't they? Even in schools, you get grades. Every semester you get grades in school, and a job, you get a yearly review. And they're going to look at you, and they're going to say, this is how you've been behaving. This is how you've been performing. This is what you've been doing. This may be a surprise to some people at the end of the year when they say, oh my gosh, that's me. Sometimes perception can be reality. Sometimes it's quite a shock that God would really say, this is how I see you. Does that make sense? And God says, here's 2018. Here's how you've been performing in 2017. You are the transmission here, if you want to call it, the cog that can make it this way, or you can make it go back to where you were. Do y'all understand that? In school, if I just fail all my classes, do they move me the next year? No. And yet we find it so surprising with God, like, oh, but you're loved. It's in His love that you might go, hey, you need to go back to square one. Is that true? What do you do with the wilderness? Well, they said, we won't go in the promised land. What do you say? Turn back around. You were listening. You don't understand the purpose of it. Now, I'm not here to deflate your hearts this morning. Just bear with me. I just want you to understand the mind of God. The heart is this. He says, I'm really wanting you to grow. I want to promote you. But if you are not diligent even in what I give you now, why would you be diligent with what? More. Does it make sense? If my daughter's having trouble with a cup of milk, when I give her all like a bowl of spaghetti, you know it's going to be a bad day. So my thing is this. It's like it just takes some time. Now, I'm more of a positive guy. I don't want you to think I'm here to rail on you. But don't think that God isn't looking on your daily thoughts, even your behaviors, your free time. But let me look at the positive. Let's just spin this around for a moment. If I'm faithful in the small things in my life, God will make me faithful in what? The big things. Y'all see that? Yes. I go fast? Verse 10. If God sees me, I'm like, how do I get more of this? How do I get more of that? I want full power of the kingdom. I want to just fly over people. People should be healed by looking at me. How do I do that? If I'm just faithful with even just my small things, God will say, look, I trust you to be faithful with that. Right? Is that fair? Oh yeah, go ahead. He says, if I'm unjust in what's least, I'll be unjust in much. So it means if I'm just justful, like, what do you mean, like integrity, honest, careful, which is even a small matter. Somebody says, hey Mike, take that pen from work. I'm like, no. Hey Mike, just slough off a little bit at work, it's okay. No. Mike, it's okay if we just go to lunch a little bit longer. No. Do I go to work late? No. Because I'm not just with that. Why would I be just with God's business? Did y'all get that? Does that hurt you? Please don't let it hurt you. Let's just be honest. If I really want more of God's Spirit and His kingdom and just to work with all kinds of powers of Christ, he goes, Michael, it's not hard. If you would just be just in even the small things, your job, your family, even the way you treat them, then why would I expect you to be any different with God's people? Right? He said, but Michael, I know somebody that doesn't fit that equation. I didn't ask you about that. I'm asking about God. Right? Don't tell me about Joe Blow. Don't tell me about another religion. Tell me about what Jesus says. What did Jesus say? He said, if you would just be just in even the small things, I trust you to be just with big things. Again, I'm not here to hurt you. I'm just saying, this is a really strong key to promote you in 2018. Is that what I'm trying to do? You asked me, what are my blessings for 2018? I want spiritual growth. I want to move mightily in 2018. I just want to show you how. That's all. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm saying this is how you would move forward. And he said, look at this. If you're good with your own finances, your own diligence, your own resources, will God not give you what? The true riches of heaven. Is that true? Right? The true riches, that's what he's talking about, true riches of heaven. The fullness is the power. The Spirit is kingdom. And things that you can't buy with money. Y'all remember when Peter and John came and laid hands, and Simon the sorcerer said, oh, he's got the Holy Ghost. How do I get on that? He said, remember he offers what? Peter, what did he offer? Money. And Peter said, man, your money perished with you. He wanted to buy the true riches of heaven. You can have it. How do I have it? He said, I just got to be faithful with just what I got. I don't want to be wasteful of my life, my time, my resources. And if I'm diligent with these things, God says, man, you know what? You're diligent with the Spirit. Listen, guys, when people ask me, how did you get where you were? It's right here. That's all. It's not like I was some superstar. I'm not really that great. I said, you know what, Jesus? I have got to be specific down to the nickel with what belongs to another man. I should never cheat anybody. I should be honest with them in my relationships. I should be honest with people even of low degree. I don't care if you're my boss or love. I will treat you the same with respect and honesty. But that's the issue. And so here comes the verse 12. Now you've been faithful in other man's. For example, my job that belongs to another man. It's not mine. Who will give you what is your own? And if I'm faithful in my performance and where I go, then God will give me my own position, which you see standing here. Is that okay? Now, again, why am I talking about me? Because this church is driven to do one thing. It is a proving ground to create ministry. I'll just remind you again, because it's the end of the year. This church is driven for one fact, to create ministers. And so, this is the secret. You don't understand. Your life is your proving ground. And if you're going willing to commit these understandings to your living, your lifestyles, your functions, you will not be far from the goals you desire in 2018. Is that true? Is that okay with you? So, whatever you ask me for in prayer, whatever you seek for from Jesus, I'm telling you, just commit these principles to you, and you'll fall right in line. It'll just come right along. Now, friends, I can take it a little bit further if you don't mind. So I just want to put Luke 16 just on hold. I'm not saying Scripture is not the ultimate understanding. I just want to put that on hold. Let's go back to that term proving ground for a moment. The term proving ground. Let me just give you 4 concepts, okay? 4 concepts that will help you make these verses work. Because you've probably read this and said, okay, I read that. Good. But what a sermon does is it takes an analogy, like a proving ground, and it will help expand the Scripture to something that you can chew on. You can bite on it. You can say, you know what, that makes sense. So 4 understandings I want to help you work. For a proving ground. The first thing for any proving ground is very simple. The first point I want you to understand is there must be a need. N-E-E-D. Need. A purpose. A need. Something it has to fulfill. No one builds a proving ground or a church without a purpose. Do y'all follow me? No one's going to spend all that money to build this giant electric fence and create a road to it and provide utilities and a building to do nothing. There must be a purpose to a proving ground. No one starts that. No one would go that much investment with nothing. We're just like, I think we'll just do it together. Hey, why do you come to church? No reason. What'd you do in church today? I went there because I go to church on Sunday. You know what I'm saying? No one does that. But what does common day theology tell you? What does the status quo look like? What do you do? I went to church. You know what I'm saying? Have you been baptized? Yeah. Have you been saved? Yeah. See, this church is more than just a checklist faith movement. It's about a reality, a lifestyle. I want to show you this lifestyle. Would you mind reading that? Matthew chapter 9, 35 through 38. Matthew chapter 9, 35 through 38. About Jesus again, my hero. Then Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching, wrong again, went about all the cities and villages, went about, teaching in their synagogues, preaching the gospel of the kingdom, healing every sickness and every disease among the people. There's my need. Y'all see that? Y'all see the need? Keep going. Verse 36. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion for them because they were weary and scattered, like sheep having no shepherd. Another need. Another need, right? There's a need. Next verse. Next verse. Then he said to his disciples, the harvest is truly plentiful, but the laborers are few. Another need. 38. Therefore, pray to the Lord of the harvest to send out laborers into the harvest. That is a lot of need, my friends. Just a few verses. I told you, when people say, oh, I read the Bible. Good. Keep reading the Bible. But just this conversation will change your life. Let's put it up again. 35 to 38, if you don't mind. All at once, and you'll help me. 35 to 38 says this, that Jesus says there is a great need. How did he know about that need? He went about. As you go to the stores, you go to Walmart, you see that poor man suffering. You go to a grocery store, the kids running around. You see that woman crying in the store. You see these things. There's a need. This world's not about you, my friends. There's a need. And the more you get out of your box, the more you recognize there's a need. And the more you just sit at home and go, I don't have nothing to do, you won't feel there's a need. So, Mike, I don't really feel the need to chase Jesus. You know why? Get out of yourself. Right? Is that true? Me too, right? Me too. You can't just so isolate yourself in this little cave and go, you know what, this is my life, I got it made. And then you go, you know what? I go outside, I go downtown, I'm like, man, there's homeless people. Freezing cold, it's supposed to be 20 degrees this week. What are they going to do? Then I go to my job, I got people that are home, getting let go. They're fired. So Christmas time, maybe they don't have a job. What are you going to do? You see a need when you go around. You see why Jesus walked around? Do you understand him? The man is hardcore. He goes, you know what? I'm going to be homeless if it's what it takes. I will not live in a house. You think he couldn't have a house? You don't think he can have a house? He said, I'm going to be homeless to make sure I never just go home and do this. Ooh, Rockets game. Lost. That's what people do. And Jesus said, I will be homeless if this is what it takes to drive myself to find the need. And then he continues, he says, you know what? This is my need. People need to be taught. They need the gospel. They need to be healed from sickness and disease. Then he says they need compassion because they have no shepherd. He said they need a leader. And he tells his disciples, man, we just need more of this. So what is the proving ground of this church? It's my need. My master says there's a need. So me being a diligent servant says, tell you what, master, I'll raise up ministers. That's how I see fit. That's how God put it on me. Go raise people. People are like, do you really evangelize? Yeah, I do. But I'd rather go get 100 more. I don't want to do it myself anymore. I've done that. It's a lot of work. I'm glad that people evangelize. I'm good for you. But God has given me a heart to raise up more evangelists and more ministers that can lay hands and heal and deliver people from this world's evil. So this is my heart. And so look at this, verse 36. When he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion. The need has a heart. You follow that? The need has a heart. It means that God would look at you and say, man, you know, it's not right. It's not right. Someone will just drive by around Christmas time and go, oh, it sucks for you. It's not right. He sees a need. He has a compassion for them. Now, I'm not saying go drive around throwing $20 bills at everybody. I'm saying we should understand what we're going to change, how we're going to change this world, how we're going to fix people's lives. Why are you going to fix their lives? Look at this. They need what? They need a what? A shepherd. They're sheep without a shepherd. They need leaders. They need mentors. They need spiritual fathers. They need assistants. They don't need a bank check. People say, oh, the Bible says give. I know it says give, but give your life instead. To help people. To be a phone call for them. To guide them. That's what you need to give. And then God says, you know what? We need more just like him. We need more Jesuses in this planet. We need more people just like him. So that's my need. So what is the proving ground to me? The proving ground is really a place of need. It's created because there's a need. If you're a military man, you're like, why am I creating a new missile? Because there's people trying to kill my children. Right? There's people in other nations trying to attack American borders. There's a certain Asian country, y'all know who it is, North Korea, and their proving ground is where the missile lands. That's in my backyard. I love that. That's a proving ground. But for us, we have a just disciplined proving ground. We have a place, this church, we have our fellowship, we have our meetings where we come together and we begin to train and we fill the need. Do y'all understand that? We have to be a people focused on God's Word. That's the first point, the need. Second point, prototype. A prototype. What do I mean? When you begin training up or creating or designing or developing a weapon, a tank, a missile, the first one is called what? The prototype. Right? Is that the final product? You think when they first had a nuclear bomb, it was the same one used? No, it was actually gigantic. I'm not defending nuclear warfare. I'm just saying there's a really common example of nuclear warfare had proving grounds. America had proving grounds for nuclear warfare. There are proving grounds for Windows XP, or 2000, or whatever, Windows 10. We use test beds and software. In chemical plants, we do pilot plants, where we test this chemical. I don't care what ministry operation you're in. There is some kind of proving ground. And for church, God uses this place as a test bed for prototypes like you. If you've been with me for these 3 years, you're going to say one thing I like to think. This is new to me. If you're being honest. I really doubt many of us in this group have said, man, I've been listening to that for 10 years. It's the third time I've heard it today. Now, I believe that God may confirm the Word to you and confirm what He's directing you into, but I believe this church has been created as a movement, as a prototype, as something that is not being fully finished, but developing. And why do I say that? Because some of us feel this weight of 2017 going, man, I thought I'd be here. I'd be there. I'd be doing this. I'd be doing that. Friends, a prototype is not the final product. It's the first pass. And sometimes you reread the Bible and go, oh, that makes sense. And your second pass and third pass. Anytime God is doing something in your life, you shouldn't go, I didn't get it the first time. It must be wrong. That's not true. Because you know if you were developing a very advanced machine and you go to turn it on and it doesn't start, do you just throw it off the wall? No. Can you imagine having children like that? The first day you mess up, oh, I can't be a parent, I better quit. It doesn't work that way. Marriage. You say, oh, the first time I fight, I just never gotten married. You can't be that way. You can't be that way. I mean, some of us are like, man, I really want to get married. Be faithful in small things. And God will give you a great thing. That makes sense. I hope this helps you. We should be a people who go, first of all, God, you're putting me in a new place that is beyond me. I'm learning things I've never heard. Don't expect it to be perfect. It's okay. Let me show you a story. Would y'all read Hebrews chapter 11, 8 through 10? Hebrews 11, 8 through 10. Y'all know, remember Abraham? So Abraham's story, he's not Abraham. Abraham's real name is? Abram. Was Abram a man of God? No. Was he born through faith? No. But he was a prototype of faith. He was a prototype of faith that was being refined into a final product. Let's see that together. He says, by faith, Abraham was obeyed when he was called to go out to a place which he received as an inheritance. And he went out what? Not knowing where he would go. Abraham was brought into the promised land before it was really established. And he didn't know what he was doing. Did he make mistakes on that journey? Yes. Did he doubt? Yes. Was he tempted to give up? But did he quit? No. That's what a prototype is. When you are a prototype for God, you can use the word forerunner if you like it. When you're that person, you have to recognize that you may not have all the answers. You may have a day of doubt. You may be frustrated. You may say, you know what, this is stupid. I don't make sense. You may be barren in the spirit and asking God, where is all this? And you just have to look back at Jesus and go, man, I am your exceedingly great reward. I am your shield. Do not be afraid. Genesis 15, right? Don't be afraid. That's the key aspect for the believer and the prototype of God's movement is to recognize that you're on new ground. Do you know in my early days of this church, I used to ask God, hey, why isn't it like this or why is it like that? And God would tell me, do you know there's another church like yours? And I would say, no, sir. And he would say, then don't expect to know the finished product. Y'all follow that? Y'all understand the story there? If I am not recognizing what God's been doing before in my life, why should I pretend to know the finish? If it's the first time I'm seeing a movie, do I really know the ending? No. Then don't pretend to know how your life's going to turn out. Just by faith, pursue God. Pursue Jesus. Keep walking the road you know, the narrow road, the path of Christ. My friends, when you're a prototype, I'm telling you, you cannot bank on experience. It's going to backfire. It will backfire on you. But this is what God does with a prototype, and this is what I believe hurts many people here. What does a proving ground also include? Testing, reporting, close watch. You think Jeff Bezos and these guys doing these new rockets, y'all heard about these rockets they're sending off into space, going for a few minutes, coming back down? You don't think there's about 45 machines on there watching that machine, that multi-million-dollar device? Really? How much more do you think Jesus invested in you? Whenever I start a new machine or a new tank, am I not going to be like, okay, I'm about to start a new car I just built? Am I not going to look at the gauges, check out the alternator, make sure it's not leaking, check all my fittings and tight connections? If I run a new program, am I not going to look for bugs? And so God keeps a close watch on His prototypes. And some of us go, oh man, things have been tough. Seems like God's on my back. Why are people telling me what not to do? Do you think salvation comes overnight? Sure, in a way, you go to heaven. You can believe Jesus, you go to heaven. But are you the finished product that you're going to be? Tell me what it says in Ephesians chapter, 1 Thessalonians 4. 1 Thessalonians 4, 3 through 8. Are you being tested? Are you being reported on? What is the will of God? Your sanctification. What's he saying? You're a prototype for God, but then as you get saved, God begins to tweak and fine-tune and mold and remove. And says, you know what? I don't really need that gasket. That's a failing part. I don't really need this wheel. The bearing is bad. We got to change that. This bearing on this house is not working. Do you follow that? This is the will of God, your sanctification. You're a prototype for God, but then God begins to mold you. He begins to renew your mind. He reprograms this machine saying, that didn't work. Next time, let's not do that. Okay, that's not really going well. Let's just go somewhere else. Do you understand that? I'll read this again. This is the will of God, your sanctification, that you should abstain from sexual morality. Keep going. He says that each of you should know how to possess his own vessel in sanctification and honor. Verse 5, not in passion of lust, like the Gentiles who don't know God. That no one should take advantage and defraud his brother in this matter, because the Lord is the avenger of all such, as we forewarned you and testified. So let me just summarize that verse. What he's saying here is, he's not talking to lost people, my friends. He's not talking to another faith, a Muslim or Hindu. He's talking to believers. He's saying for a believer, you're responsible for your development. Does that make sense? You're responsible. If you're a prototype, you can't go, well, didn't work. God's your fault. Your fault. I'm waiting. He says, you're responsible for your development, your sanctification, your holiness, your pursuit of God's Word, your renewing of your mind. If you're going to sit there and say, nothing's changing and 2018 is looking just the same, I would ask you, my friend, are you really pursuing the changes that God requires? Yes, God puts you in a new place. He wants you to grow. He wants you to minister at the highest levels. And then you come to a place and go, I made it. I'm good. And then the product line looks like this. Nothing happens. It just comes to a halt. You know how you keep the products moving on the shelf? You just keep developing your mind. Keep reading the Word of God. Keep pursuing Jesus. And you will find that this prototype is being matured, is being developed, is being fine-tuned, and it will become something amazing. See, Michael, what you're telling me then is that this is a daily lifestyle to change me every day to look more like Jesus. I would say, now you got it. Right? Now you got it. That's the problem with what I've seen in church in my own life. Maybe not yours, but mine. It was about getting saved and saying, I've been saved. Did you pray the prayer? Yes, Jesus, come by heart. Please save me. I want to go to heaven. And that was it. You know what I'm saying? That was it. That was my transformation in my teenage years. And it didn't last very long, let me warn you. It doesn't really hold water that long. But someone said, Michael, you made the right choice. Now let's go run after Jesus. And at that time, I wasn't really exposed to much else. I'm not blaming anybody but me. My Bible's right there in my hand. I still have it, my old one. And so my point is this, friends. If somebody had told me, Michael, you better read that inside and out. You better change your life. And you will continue to do great things for God. That's why I pushed you so hard. I wasted too many years fumbling around. I want to be a guy that grabs the football and runs alongside you. We can do it. Here's the deal, friends. God wants each of us to become like Him. Why? Let's look together. Ephesians 4, 11 through 16. Ephesians 4, 11 through 16. And He Himself gave Himself to be some apostles, some prophets, some evangelists, some pastors and teachers. That's not the key point. For the equipping of the saints for the work of the ministry. Hold that thought. Why does God create pastors and churches? To equip who? Us. Y'all. Each one of you. For the work of ministry. Let's circle all the way back. What was the first bullet point? Someone tell me. What was the first bullet point, friends?
A need.
A need. What is the need? The ministry. What did we read in Matthew 9? Jesus said He went around from what? Cities and villages. Preaching the gospel. Healing the sick. Removing demons and diseases from people. And He said, man, I need more people like this. I need laborers. Would you pray for more laborers? If only they had somebody to guide them. They're like sheep lost without a shepherd. And then God says, I'll tell you what. I'll make a group of people called apostles and prophets, evangelists, teachers, and pastors. But what are they really here for? You. You. To make you fit the need I told you about. Remember the first point? Need. Then prototype. Then the testing. Then the fourth point. A mass production. Mass production. When your product line is fulfilled, when the testing is done, what do? You create a machine. You create this factory, and it produces thousands of people to serve Jesus. Y'all follow me now? A prototype is to recreate something that's going to work and fulfill a need. What is the need? The work of the ministry. What did Jesus say? Pray to the Lord of harvest that He would send out laborers. What are you really? You're a prototype for the laborer of Jesus Christ. I'm going to say that again. What are you really? Why are you here? I'm a prototype as a laborer of Jesus. I'm being tested. I'm being refined. I'm being sanctified. And then God will use me to touch as many people as I'm willing to go for. That is the work of the ministry. The fourth bullet is mass production. God wants you to do this completely to the rest of the world. Y'all know how Matthew 28 goes? 18? Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Right? That's my mass production. That's the Great Commandment, right? Y'all know the Great Commission? The Great Commandment of God is for you to go and mass create a prototype. Who are you now? He said to his disciples, pray for more laborers. You are the disciples of Jesus. You're his prototype. But y'all know what happens with prototypes? They become finished machines. Like tanks, like missiles, like weaponry. Not for hurting people, except to put the hurt on sickness and demons. And then you become that person that God works through. My friends, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. Some of you say, Michael, I know you got the passion for it. I really don't. It's not that hard. Let me tell you, friends, your job is your proving ground. Your family is your proving ground. Your friends are your proving ground. Your grocery store trip is your proving ground. Those people you meet outside are a proving ground. Those people you'll meet in the coming years are your proving ground. The people you drive by are your proving ground. The children you'll raise, those are your proving ground. As God sees your family, your lifestyle, your friends, and the decisions you make, even your free time, even your finances, even in whatever decision you have, it says this, Colossians 3:17. Whatever you do, Colossians 3:17, whatever you do, it says it this way, do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. And there it is, giving thanks to God the Father. Whatever we do is a proven ground for God. Nothing is exempt. Some people say I have a secular job, and some people say he's a clergyman. My friends, I minister at my job, and so should you. We should all minister at my job in an honest way that does not detect, or to remove our time that we're paid for. When you have time, as God allows, minister in your job, minister to your friends, minister in school. You're not even being paid at school, you're paid to be there, so you got free time. Is that okay, guys? Does that make sense? I hope this proving ground message really takes heart. I want it to take heart in your souls. The Bible says the seed of the gospel. Do you remember Mark 4, the parable of the sower? The seed of the gospel should bear how much? In fullness. 100-fold, right?
100-fold.
So people ask me, how big is this church? What are you thinking God for? 100-fold increase. That means every one of you has the opportunity to expand what you're doing. 100-fold. That's what I thank God for. That God would allow this gospel seed to be planted in this house and in your hearts, that you would grow at a rate unknown, just beyond touch. Can we just put this verse up from Micah 6:8? This is my heart for 2018 as we close it. Micah 6, verse 8. He's showing you, O man, what is good. This is what's going to carry you for the rest of your life. You want just these three things. He's showing you, O man, what is good. And what does the Lord require of you for 2018? What do you want to do? Do justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. You say, Michael, how do I carry myself in 2018? In your work, in your family, in your friends, whatever you're doing. Just apply these three rules. Do justly. Be justful. Be integrity. Have integrity in your decisions. Love mercy. Remember what forgiveness means. That God forgave you, you forgive others. And then walk humbly. There's no point in sticking out a pride. It will get you nothing with God. Remember the man that was in the temple. One man stuck his chest out. The Pharisee said, God, I thank you for it. I'm doing everything right. Another man says, God, I don't even know why I'm here. It's only because of you. And God said, that man, the man who forgave, who walked humbly before his God, came out justified. Let's go into prayer if you mind.